Hey everyone, how are you? I hope you're doing well. There is another 4-day event happening at the end of this month that I really want to tell you about. There's a annual regional summit called Tribalize, and it's happening in Tulum, Mexico. Like I said, at the end of this month, this summit centers around catalyzing regenerative communities. And it's really for those of us that are calling in, designing, developing, collaborating on the future of the regenerative economy and community living. Very exciting topics that I am heavily interested and invested in as well. So I'm super looking forward to this. And if you are someone that is looking to live in a values-based community, society, or town, or perhaps you are a leader within your own organization or community, but you're seeking some knowledge or resources of how to bring your vision actually to life, then this may be a really great event for you. So here to tell us more about regenerative communities, Tribalize, and why Mexico could be a good place to ground your vision is Brad Nye. Brad is a seasoned entrepreneur and currently the founder and CEO of Tribalize. He's produced over 1,000 events and is a proven community builder. He brings the right people together at the right time. Well, I'm so excited that I got a chance to sit down and talk with him. And we start the conversation off with me asking him about intentional communities and what they are and how they actually function. Take a look.
The 60s, were the first initial movement in the United States on this, and people from that era were forming what was called communes or intentional communities. So that was over 50 years ago, right? Yeah. But today, we've had sort of the evolution of that, and there's very similar aspects to society right now. There's sort of a rebellion that's taking place, and people's response to that rebellion is to get away from the system and to create sovereign aspects of life, meaning, be able to grow your own food, be able to have your own governance structure, be able to, have your own energy, regenerative power, and basically take your rights back rather than sort of be in a society that's sort of now clamping down on freedom of speech and living a life that's free from that kind of type of tyranny that exists. And there's sort of been a big swing towards people wanting to live on land now and get away from the cities that are extremely challenging. And really, a regenerative community is setting up permaculture and other systems where they are self-generating and self-creating, and they're not extracting from the resource pool, but they're actually contributing to it on a long-term basis. So these regenerative communities are looking at not just the physical aspects of community, which relate to water and food and shelter and power, energy, but also the social aspects of regeneration, which means coming up with self-governing systems where it's more circular and less hierarchical, where everyone's involved in the decision-making process rather than just a few at the top. More and more people than ever have started to look for land projects and been looking and investigating this whole regenerative community movement. So we did a conference last year in Tulum, Mexico, and we're repeating that this year, March 25th through the 28th, in Tulum as well, but it's themed around growing your community vision in Mexico. Mexico is sort of the new Costa Rica. People are discovering how absolutely stunning and beautiful and fertile Mexico is. So I found right now many people trying to build projects. So the conference is themed around that. It's 4 days, and we'll be covering what I call indigenous wisdom meets regenerative practice. How do we bring the practice of the indigenous community into our regenerative future? That's day one, where we really have some great talks that are more sort of philosophical and overseeing the whole movement. And then on the second day, we go into those 4 key areas of food, water, structures, and energy. And how do we bring indigenous wisdom into those practices as well? Those are those are survival pillars. You got to have all those handled. Even, you know, in addition, we add governance to that, but those are the survival elements to having your community work. Yeah. And day 3 is all the social structures. How do you build coherence and a governance structure that allows you to literally keep going despite, you know, disagreements and whatever? You know, you really have to have that system worked through. Definitely. And the day 4 is about the funding methodologies and platforms that are, you know, these aren't traditional ROI properties. You're not building a bunch of condos to sell. You know, you're building something that you're going to live in, and so the business models are challenging. So how do you fund those? And some of the new crypto platforms and NFTs and bond structures, we're looking at all those on the 4th day. Well, it's for the leaders of this community movement, the people who are sure that this is what they want, and they're ready to go buy the land, and they're ready to bring the teams together. I mean, those are the people we're going to help the most. But those people who want to join these communities, this is where this is a platform for people to find each other as well, right? Because, you know, not everybody has a tribe of people they know that are willing and ready to jump into these projects together. So it's an opportunity to meet other people who are like-minded. And if you put a bunch of people who love, you know, the aspect of community in a room together, it's like exciting. We are all working towards a new paradigm of civilization, okay? And there are certain values and certain principles inherent in that, and one of those is community and collaboration, and not, you know, completely self-reliance, but, you know, community reliant. And trust is such a, you know, and transparency. These are important values in the new earth, and really, you know, personal responsibility for one's own trauma, because we all have gone through something on this planet that's akin to trauma in whatever way we've been raised, and in our families, and in our schools, and in our workplaces, you know, and a lot of people are traumatized by this concept of working together or making decisions together. And so that's why this whole community movement is a little stunted right now, because it requires everybody to show up in the most whole way they can. And if they're bringing their triggers to a circumstance, it's going to create separation and distance. So we have to own, you know, what's happened to us in the past, and we have to actually look at how do we be in the we space? How do we be in the collaborative space?
I'll be in Tulum, Mexico at Tribalize, and I really hope I'll see you there. So thanks for watching. I'm Raji, and I'll see you next time.